Hello everyone, and welcome back to Romance Rewind Stories. Before we dive into today's incredible story, I have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying these heartwarming tales, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. It's quick, it's free, and it's the best way to support us in bringing you more emotional romance stories. And here's something I'd love to know. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I always enjoy seeing our amazing community from around the world. Oh, and if this story touches your heart, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps us grow and reach more people who love these kinds of tales. Now, let's get into today's story. "I'll never marry you," Billionaire said. Year later, he saw her in hospital, regretted everything. The argument had started over something small, dinner plans that Slate Montgomery had cancelled for the third time that week. But it had escalated into something much bigger, much more final. "You're never going to change, are you?" Aurora Hayes stood in the living room of Slate's penthouse, her hands shaking with frustration and hurt. "It's always going to be your company first, everything else second, including me." Slate Montgomery, 36-year-old CEO of Montgomery Global worth $10 billion, had been loosening his tie after another 18-hour workday when Aurora confronted him. They'd been together for 3 years, living together for 1, and lately he'd felt the pressure building, the unspoken expectations, the increasingly frequent conversations about their future. "Aurora, I've told you from the beginning what my priorities are. Building my father's company into something bigger, better, that's always been my goal. And where do I fit into that goal, Slate, or do I fit at all?" "Of course you fit, you're important to me." "Important enough to marry?" The question hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. Slate felt his chest tighten. This was the conversation he'd been dreading, the one Aurora had been circling around for months. "Aurora, it's been 3 years, Slate. 3 years of me understanding your work schedule, supporting your career, waiting for you to be ready. I'm 31 years old. I want marriage. I want children. I want a family. And I need to know if you want those things with me." "Marriage isn't just about wanting something," Slate said, choosing his words carefully, or so he thought. "It's about timing, about being ready, about you being scared," Aurora interrupted, her voice breaking. "That's what this is really about, isn't it? You're terrified of commitment, terrified that if you marry me, you'll end up like your parents, divorced and bitter, and using their children as weapons." "Don't bring my parents into this. Why not? They're the reason you refuse to even consider marriage. Slate, I'm not your mother. You're not your father. We're not doomed to repeat their mistakes." "You can't know that. No one can." Slate ran his hands through his hair, feeling cornered. "Aurora, why isn't this enough? Why do we need a piece of paper to prove what we have?" "Because I want the commitment. I want to know that you're as invested in this relationship as I am, that you're willing to stand up in front of everyone we know and promise to build a life with me. Is that really so much to ask?" "Yes." The word exploded out of Slate before he could stop it. "Yes, it is too much to ask. Aurora, I've told you, I've been clear from the beginning. I don't believe in marriage. I'll never marry you. I'll never marry anyone. And if that's not enough for you, then maybe—" He stopped himself, but the damage was already done. "Then maybe what?" Aurora's voice was dangerously quiet. "Maybe we should break up. Is that what you were going to say?" "I didn't mean—" "No, you did mean it. You've been waiting for an excuse to end this, haven't you? Because that's easier than actually committing to someone." Slate Montgomery, the brilliant CEO who can commit to building billion-dollar companies, but can't commit to the woman who's loved him for 3 years. "Aurora, that's not fair. What's not fair is wasting 3 years of my life on someone who's been clear he'll never give me what I need. You know what, Slate? I'm done. I'm done waiting for you to be ready. I'm done making excuses for your emotional unavailability. I'm done being second to your company. Aurora started walking toward the bedroom, clearly intending to pack. Slate followed, panic rising in his chest despite his earlier words. Aurora, wait, let's talk about this. We've talked, Slate. For 3 years, we've talked. And the message is clear. You'll never marry me. Well, message received. I want more than you're capable of giving, so I'm leaving. You're overreacting. Aurora spun around, her eyes blazing with tears and fury. Overreacting? Slate, you just told me you'll never marry me. How exactly am I supposed to react to that? Should I thank you for your honesty? Should I be grateful you've finally admitted you see no future with me? I didn't say I see no future. You said you'll never marry me. That is saying you see no future. Because, Slate, I want marriage, I want children, I want a partner who's willing to stand beside me publicly and privately, and you've made it crystal clear you'll never be that person. So yes, I'm leaving, because staying would mean giving up on every dream I have for myself. Within 2 hours, Aurora had packed her essentials and walked out of Slate's penthouse. She didn't slam the door or make dramatic proclamations. She simply left, quietly and with dignity, while Slate stood in the living room telling himself he'd done the right thing, that he'd been honest about his limitations, that it was better for both of them in the long run. He told himself these things every day for the next year. A year later, Slate found himself in St. Catherine's Hospital for a charity board meeting. His company donated millions annually to the hospital's pediatric wing. He'd arrived early and was walking through the main corridor when he heard a voice he'd spent 12 months trying to forget. "No, Mum, I'm fine, really. The doctors are just being cautious. I'll be home in a few days." Slate stopped walking, his heart hammering. He turned slowly to look through the open door of a hospital room and saw her, Aurora. She was sitting up in a hospital bed, significantly thinner than he remembered, with dark circles under her eyes and an IV line in her arm. She looked exhausted, fragile, and heartbreakingly beautiful. Their eyes met across the room. Aurora's went wide with shock, then immediately guarded. She turned away from the door, her hand tightening on her phone. "Mom, I need to go. I'll call you later. Love you." Slate knew he should keep walking, should respect her obvious desire not to see him. Instead, he found himself stepping into the room. "Aurora, what are you doing here?" Her voice was cold, controlled, so different from the warm woman he'd spent 3 years with. "Hospital board meeting. I didn't know you'd be..." "Aurora, what's wrong? Why are you in the hospital?" "That's none of your business, Slate. We've been broken up for a year. You don't get to ask about my health anymore." "A year," Slate repeated, the timeline hitting him. "It's been exactly a year since you told me you'd never marry me and I left." "Yes, exactly a year. Congratulations on your consistency." Slate flinched at the bitterness in her voice. "Aurora, please, what's wrong? Why are you here?" Before she could answer, a doctor knocked and entered, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a professional demeanor. "Ms. Hayes, I have your test results." "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you had a visitor." "He's not a visitor. He's leaving." Aurora's eyes stayed fixed on Slate, dismissive and final. But Slate couldn't move, especially not when he saw the folder in the doctor's hand labeled oncology. "Oncology?" The word came out strangled. "Aurora, do you have cancer?" Aurora closed her eyes, clearly fighting for composure. "Dr. Chen, could you give us a moment?" "Of course. I'll be back in 5 minutes." The doctor left discreetly, taking the folder with her. The silence in the room was deafening. Finally, Aurora spoke, her voice carefully neutral. "I was diagnosed with breast cancer 8 months ago. Stage 2. I've been through surgery and chemotherapy. I'm here now for complications from the chemo. My white blood cell count dropped dangerously low, and I developed an infection. The doctors are monitoring me until I stabilize. There, now you can leave." Slate felt like he'd been punched. 8 months. You've been fighting cancer for 8 months, and I didn't know. Why would you know? "We're not together, Slate. You made it very clear a year ago that you wanted nothing to do with me long term. So I handled this myself, like I've handled everything else this past year. By yourself? Slate's voice cracked. Aurora, you went through cancer treatment alone? Not completely alone. My mother came out from Portland for the surgery. My friends have been supportive. I've managed. You shouldn't have had to manage. I should have been there. If you'd known what? You would have suddenly decided you wanted to marry me. Don't make this about guilt, Slate. You made your choice a year ago. I respected it and moved on. Slate looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the toll the past year had taken, the weight loss, the exhaustion, the way she held herself with a fragility that hadn't been there before. Aurora, you're in a hospital bed fighting cancer. That's not moving on, that's surviving. Exactly, I'm surviving without you. Because I had to learn how to do that when you told me you'd never marry me, when you made it clear I wasn't worth committing to. The words hit Slate like bullets. I never said you weren't worth it. You said you'd never marry me. Same thing. Aurora's voice finally broke, tears spilling down her cheeks. Do you have any idea what the past year has been like, Slate? I got diagnosed with cancer 2 months after we broke up. 2 months. And I sat in that oncologist's office, listening to him explain my treatment options, and all I could think was that I was facing this alone because the man I loved for 3 years couldn't commit to me. Aurora. I went through surgery alone. I woke up from anesthesia with my mother holding my hand instead of my partner. I lost my hair from chemo and cried in front of the bathroom mirror by myself because there was no one there to tell me I was still beautiful. I've been sick and scared and exhausted for 8 months, Slate. And not once did I reach out to you. Because you made it clear I wasn't important enough to commit to. Why would you care about me having cancer? Slate sank into the chair beside her bed, his legs giving out. I would have cared. God, Aurora, I do care. If you'd known, you would have felt obligated to help out of guilt. That's not the same as actually wanting to be with me. Slate, you told me you'd never marry me. That's a pretty clear message about my value to you. I was scared, Slate said, the truth finally breaking through. Aurora, I was terrified. My parents' marriage destroyed them. They spent 10 years making each other miserable, using me and my sister as weapons. I watched my mother cry every night and my father drink himself into oblivion, and I swore I'd never put myself or anyone else through that. So you decided not to marry anyone? I decided marriage was a trap, a legal contract that turns love into obligation and obligation into resentment. I convinced myself that what we had was better without it, that we could be together without the formality. Except we couldn't, because Slate, I wanted the commitment. I wanted to know you were in it for the long haul. And when you said you'd never marry me, what I heard was that you were keeping one foot out the door, that I was temporary, disposable. You were never disposable. Then why wouldn't you marry me? Aurora's voice rose, all her carefully controlled emotion finally breaking through. If I was so important, if what we had was so good, why couldn't you commit? Why couldn't you stand up and say, this woman is my family, my future, my choice? Why, Slate? Because I'm a coward. The confession exploded out of him. Because committing to you meant risking everything, meant admitting I needed you, that you'd become essential to me, that losing you would destroy me. And I was so scared of that vulnerability, so terrified of ending up like my parents, that I pushed you away instead. I told myself I was protecting both of us. Really, I was just protecting myself. Aurora wiped at her tears angrily. Well, congratulations. You protected yourself right out of a relationship, and I got cancer alone. Win-win for everyone. Aurora, I'm sorry. I'm so incredibly sorry. For everything I said a year ago. for not being there when you needed me, for being too scared to recognize what I had until it was gone. Sorry doesn't change anything. Sorry doesn't undo a year of fighting cancer alone. Sorry doesn't make you suddenly capable of commitment. Dr. Chen knocked softly, returning as promised. Ms. Hayes, I really do need to discuss your test results. Of course. Aurora looked at Slate expectantly. Goodbye, Slate. Aurora, please. Slate, I'm fighting for my life right now. I don't have the energy to also fight for a relationship with someone who's already told me he'll never fully commit. Please, just go. Slate stood on shaking legs, looking at the woman he'd loved and lost through his own cowardice. Can I come back? Can I be here for you now, even if I wasn't before? Why? What's changed? Are you suddenly ready to marry me because I have cancer? Because that's not exactly the romantic proposal every girl dreams of. No, I don't know what I'm asking. I just know I can't walk away from you again. Not now. Not when you're going through this. You walked away a year ago and I survived. I'll survive now too. Goodbye, Slate. It was a dismissal, clear and final. Slate had no choice but to leave, but he couldn't stay away. Over the next week, Slate learned everything he could about Aurora's condition. He spoke to Dr. Chen, who initially refused to discuss a patient's case until Aurora gave reluctant permission. Fine, tell him whatever he wants to know. Maybe then he'll leave me alone. The prognosis was cautiously optimistic. Aurora's cancer had been caught relatively early. The surgery had clear margins and the chemotherapy had been effective, but the treatment had taken a severe toll on her body. Her immune system was compromised, leaving her vulnerable to infections like the one that had hospitalized her. She'd need ongoing monitoring for years to ensure the cancer didn't return. Slate also learned that Aurora had been working through most of her treatment. She'd started her own art therapy business for children before the diagnosis and had refused to abandon her young clients, even when she was exhausted and sick from chemo. She's remarkably strong-willed, Dr. Chen told him. Most patients in her situation would have taken medical leave. Ms. Hayes worked right up until the infection became too severe to ignore. She's one of the most determined people I've ever treated. Slate had always known Aurora was strong. He'd just never fully appreciated how much strength it took to be with someone like him, someone who refused to commit, who held back pieces of himself, who chose fear over love at every turn. He'd taken her strength for granted, assumed it would always be there, that she would always wait for him to be ready. The idea that Aurora could be fragile, that she could need support she wasn't receiving, had never occurred to him. Until now, seeing her in a hospital bed, fighting an enemy he couldn't negotiate with or intimidate or buy his way past. Slate started sending flowers to Aurora's room. She had them donated to the children's ward. He sent books, knowing she loved to read. She returned them unopened. He tried visiting again, but Aurora had him added to a list of people not permitted in her room. Finally, desperate, he did the only thing he could think of. He called Aurora's mother, Susan. Mr. Montgomery. Susan's voice was cold when she answered. I wondered when you'd reach out. Aurora told me you showed up at the hospital. Mrs. Hayes, I know you have no reason to help me. I know I hurt your daughter. But please, I need to know, is she okay? Is she really going to be okay? Susan was quiet for a long moment. Physically, the doctors are optimistic. The cancer treatment was effective, and she's responding well to the antibiotics for the infection. Emotionally, she paused. Emotionally, Mr. Montgomery, my daughter has been shattered. First by your rejection, then by cancer, then by having to face all of it alone. So no, she's not okay. But she will be, because Aurora is a survivor. I want to help. I want to be there for her, but she won't see me. Can you blame her? You told her you'd never marry her, never commit to her. That's a pretty definitive rejection, Mr. Montgomery. Why would Aurora want you around now? Because I was wrong. Because I've spent the past year realizing what an idiot I was. Because seeing her in that hospital bed made me understand that my fear of commitment is nothing compared to the terror of losing her. Mrs. Hayes, I love your daughter. I've always loved her. I was just too scared to admit it. Love requires more than words, Mr. Montgomery. It requires action, sacrifice, being willing to show up even when it's hard. Can you do that? Can you be the partner Aurora needs? Or will you run again the moment things get difficult? I want to try. Please, tell me how to fix this. Susan sighed. I can't tell you how to fix it. That's between you and Aurora. But I will tell you this. My daughter deserves someone who's all in, not someone who's hedging his bets or keeping one foot out the door. If you're going to pursue this, you need to be absolutely certain you're ready for real commitment. Otherwise, leave her alone. She's been through enough. After the call ended, Slate sat in his penthouse, the same penthouse Aurora had walked out of a year ago, and forced himself to confront the truth. He'd never gotten over her. He'd tried. He'd thrown himself into work with even more intensity, dated casually, though never seriously, told himself he was fine. But he wasn't fine. He was miserable. And it had taken seeing Aurora sick and alone to make him realize that his fear of commitment was costing him the only thing that actually mattered. His parents' marriage had been toxic, yes, but that didn't mean his marriage to Aurora would be. His parents had married for the wrong reasons: social expectations, business advantages, family pressure. They'd never actually loved each other. Slate loved Aurora, desperately, completely, with a depth that terrified him precisely because it was real, and real love required risk. 3 weeks later, Aurora was released from the hospital with strict instructions about rest and recovery. She returned to the small apartment she'd moved into after leaving Slate's penthouse, fully expecting to resume her solitary life. Instead, she found Slate sitting on her doorstep. "What are you doing here?" Aurora clutched her bag protectively, exhausted from the hospital stay and in no mood for confrontation. "Waiting for you." "Aurora, please, give me 5 minutes. After that, if you want me to leave, I'll go and never bother you again. But I need to say some things." Aurora considered refusing, considered walking past him into her apartment and closing the door on whatever speech he'd prepared. But curiosity, or maybe hope she was trying to suppress, made her nod. 5 minutes, that's all. Slate stood, pulling an envelope from his jacket pocket. "A year ago, you asked me if I'd ever marry you. I said no. I said I'd never marry you. I told myself I was being honest, protecting both of us from the disaster my parents' marriage had been. Really, I was just a coward." "Slate, please, let me finish. When I saw you in that hospital, saw what you've been through alone, I realized something. I thought refusing to marry you was protecting you from becoming trapped in a miserable marriage like my parents had. But Aurora, what I actually did was abandon you when you needed me most. I made you face cancer alone because I was too scared to commit. And that makes me worse than my father ever was." Aurora's eyes filled with tears, but she said nothing. "You asked me once why I couldn't stand up and say you were my family, my future, my choice. I didn't have a good answer then, but I do now. I couldn't say it because I was terrified that if I admitted how much I needed you, you'd leave. That if I let you become essential, losing you would destroy me. So I kept you at arm's length, refused to commit, and convinced myself I was being rational. I was just being a coward." Slate opened the envelope and pulled out a document. "This is a contract I had my lawyers draw up. It dissolves my company's board structure and sets up a trust that will run Montgomery Global if I'm unable to. It means I can step back from the day-to-day operations, spend less time at the office, actually have a life outside of work. He handed Aurora the document, then got down on one knee right there in the hallway outside her apartment. Aurora Hayes, I love you. I've loved you for 4 years, even the year we spent apart when I was too stubborn to admit it. I want to marry you. Not because you're sick, not because I feel guilty, but because you're the best thing that's ever happened to me, and I'm done letting fear control my life. I want to stand up in front of everyone we know and promise to build a life with you. I want to be your husband, your partner, your family, if you'll still have me. Aurora stared at him, tears streaming down her face. Slate, this is everything I wanted a year ago, but now you're not sure you can trust me. I understand. Aurora, I know I hurt you. I know I let you down in the worst possible way, and I know a proposal doesn't fix any of that. But I'm asking for a chance to prove I've changed, to prove that I can be the partner you deserve. However long it takes, whatever I need to do, I'll do it. Just please, don't give up on us. Not yet. I need time, Aurora said finally. Slate, I want to believe you, but a year ago you shattered me, and then cancer nearly destroyed me. I need time to heal, physically and emotionally. I can't just jump back into this because you've had a revelation. I understand. Take all the time you need, I'll wait. Aurora, I'll wait forever if that's what it takes. Don't say forever. Forever is what you couldn't commit to a year ago. Then I'll say this. I'll wait as long as you need. And in the meantime, I'll prove through my actions, not my words, that I'm serious, that you're my priority, that I'm done being too scared to love you the way you deserve. Aurora held the contract in trembling hands. Why now? What's really changed? I have. Seeing you in that hospital, learning what you've been through, it broke something in me. The part that believed being alone was safer. The part that thought independence mattered more than connection. Aurora, I don't want to be safe anymore. I want to be with you. And if that means risk, if that means vulnerability, then I'll take that risk. Because the alternative, a life without you, that's not safer. It's just emptier. Aurora closed her eyes, clearly warring with herself. Finally, she said, I need to go inside. I need to rest. The doctor said I have to take it easy for the next few weeks. I know. I read your discharge instructions. At her surprised look, Slate explained, Doctor, Chen gave me a copy. With your permission, I've been learning everything about your treatment, your recovery timeline, what you need. Aurora, I want to help. Even if you're not ready to forgive me, even if you're never ready, let me help. Why would I let you help me when you weren't there, when I actually needed you? The question hurt, but Slate accepted the pain. Because I'm here now, and I'll keep showing up, keep proving I've changed for however long it takes. You don't have to trust me yet, but maybe someday you'll see that I mean every word. Aurora looked at him for a long moment, studying his face. Whatever she saw there must have given her pause, because she said, I have a follow-up appointment with Dr. Chen next Tuesday. If you really want to help, you can drive me. I'm still too weak to drive myself. I'll be here at 9 a.m. I'll clear my entire schedule. Don't clear your entire schedule, Slate. I don't need grand gestures. I need consistency. Showing up for one appointment doesn't prove anything. Showing up for all of them, that matters. Then I'll show up for all of them. Aurora, I promise. She nodded slowly, then turned to unlock her apartment door. Before going inside, she looked back at him. Slate? Yes? Don't make me regret giving you this chance. I don't have the strength to survive you breaking my heart again. I won't. I swear I won't. 6 months later, Slate stood in Aurora's apartment. Their apartment now, as he'd gradually moved in over the months as Aurora's health improved, and she cautiously let him back into her life, watching her paint. She'd regained most of the weight she'd lost. Her hair was growing back in soft curls, and the exhaustion that had shadowed her eyes in the hospital was gradually fading. She was still fragile in some ways, still dealing with the aftermath of treatment. But she was healing. And Slate had been there for every step of it, every doctor's appointment, every follow-up scan, every moment of fear when they waited for test results, every celebration when the results came back clear. He'd proven day after day that he meant what he'd said in her hallway 6 months ago, that she was his priority, that he wasn't going anywhere. "You're staring again," Aurora said without looking away from her canvas. "Can't help it. You're beautiful when you paint." "I'm beautiful when I do anything, according to you." "True." Slate moved behind her, wrapping his arms carefully around her waist. "Aurora? Your 6-month scan came back completely clear. Dr. Chen says you're officially in remission. You're getting stronger every day. You're thriving." "I know. It's amazing. I feel like I'm finally getting my life back. So I was thinking, maybe it's time I ask you something I should have asked 3 years ago." Aurora set down her paintbrush and turned in his arms, her expression guarded but hopeful. "What are you asking, Slate?" Slate pulled a small box from his pocket. Not the same ring he'd tried to give her in the hallway months ago, but a new one they'd chosen together last week when Aurora had finally said she was ready to consider marriage again. "Aurora Hayes, you survived cancer. You survived losing me. You survived a year of fighting alone because I was too cowardly to fight beside you. You're the strongest person I know and I don't deserve you, but I'm asking anyway. Will you marry me? Not because of obligation or guilt or fear, because I love you, because you're my family, because I want to spend every day for the rest of my life proving that I'm worthy of the second chance you've given me." Aurora's eyes filled with happy tears. "You already proposed 6 months ago. I still have the document where you restructured your company. That was me begging for a chance. This is me asking you to be my wife. There's a difference. Yes, Slate. I'll marry you, because you've proven you've changed, because you showed up when it mattered, because I love you, and because I think we've both learned that life's too short to let fear keep us from being happy." Slate kissed her then, gentle and reverent, the way he'd learned to kiss her during her recovery, careful of her fragility while celebrating her strength. "I'm never saying I'll never marry you again," he whispered against her lips. "Good, because I'm holding you to this one, Montgomery. You're stuck with me now." Best sentence I've ever heard, because sometimes never becomes forever when you're brave enough to change. Sometimes the worst thing you ever said becomes the catalyst for becoming the person you should have been all along. And sometimes watching the person you love fight for their life makes you realize that fighting for love is the only battle worth winning. And that's where our story ends today. What did you think? Did Slate and Aurora's story of devastating words becoming hard-won redemption touch your heart? Let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was. If you enjoyed this story, we have so many more waiting for you. Check out our playlist for more heartwarming romance tales that will make you believe in love all over again. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Your support means everything to us. Until next time, keep believing in love, keep believing in second chances, and remember, the best stories are the ones that remind us we all deserve our happily ever after. See you in the next story.